So what's up, everybody? And a famous man once said, "Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. And whosoever shall be found without the soul for getting down must stand and face the hounds of hell and rot inside a corpse's shell." Yes, we are here tonight for man, you guys really missed out on a really good album and a really good song. The number one selling album ever. That was from Thriller by Michael Jackson, and I just kind of thought it was appropriate for what we are talking about tonight, which is a top 10 list. And for those of you who never joined us on Twitch, we have a blast with these. These are a lot of fun, and we kind of do them as one-off shows, and it's been a while since we've done one, so we figured, what the heck? Why not do one on a Saturday before, or Sunday rather, before Christmas? And the reason, look, yes, Halloween is the big supernatural holiday, but if you don't think that an elf who comes and delivers you gifts is supernatural, then you've got issues. You've got some serious issues. So, yes, Christmas is a very supernatural time. It's a little more cheerful than Halloween, but yeah, it's supernatural. So we are going with the top 10, our top 10 supernatural wrestlers. So we have all compiled our lists and checked them twice. We're not doing anything naughty or nice because everybody is naughty on this list pretty much. So No gifts for them. But yes, we've all compiled our list. Welcome, everyone. Glad you could join us tonight for this little different kind of a stream. And again, these are like I said, always fun. We come up with some good. We've had some. If you haven't seen the other ones, go on our channel and check them out. We've done worst gimmicks, which is hilarious. I think Jeff and I laughed for an entire hour talking about worst gimmicks. We did. I think we did horror characters, so kind of a lot of those are going to kind of be similar a little bit to tonight's show. But yeah, those are a lot of fun, and we're going to keep doing them because it's just a fun thing to do. I mean, I'm an 80s guy, and in the 80s, you had top 40 and top 20 and top everything. So I kind of dig this kind of stuff, so I hope you will too. We'll say hello to some people, and we'll get going. Jen Carter, hello to you. Hey, yo. What's up? Imtiaz, hello to you. Matt, hello to Matt. Jason Peace, hello to you. See Wrestling. I think insiders do like supernatural stuff. That's why they are. Yes, we do. Yes. I'm hoping Joe mentions how much he loves zombie couture. See, that's not supernatural. That's demonic possession, and that's two different things. Two very different things. So yeah. Brother Nero says, "What's the point of supernatural women in AEW? They'll still be booked as an afterthought." Oh, wow. Already? Man, we're getting nasty already. Oh. The Texas Star fan in a coma says, "Yo, what's up? Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas!" Yeah, I mean, we got a little Christmas vibe going already. Butterspark just left something supernatural in the toilet. I feel very bad for you, dude. I think you better get some medical help. Chris says Green Mile had it. They're talking about Green Mile. Great movie. Walking the Mile. Great movie. Green Mile had a happy ending. The mouse lived. He didn't live. The mouse didn't live. The mouse died. The mouse died. Yeah, dude. What are you talking about?
Yeah, spoiler alert.
You didn't. Yeah, oh my God! Listen, spoiler alerts only are good for like a certain amount of time. If they're decades past the movie, it is well past spoiler alert territory. Big Dan said this is gonna be fun, like the Cheers debate about the sweatiest movie ever made. I need something to take my mind off the Raiders. Like, don't feel bad, dude. My team sucks.
No comment.
Yeah, my team sucks too, dude. I don't even care about football anymore. I'm done. I'm past it. I'm on the NBA basketball now again. So yeah, I'm done. Eric says the legend of the Milky Way galaxy, whatever that means. Okay. Oh, the legend in his own mind. Yes. Blah blah blah. Mustafa says he's trying to sound scary. Play along. I did sound scary, by the way, Mustafa. So if you weren't scared, that's on you. Brother Nero says ECW Zombie is the best supernatural wrestler. John Cena Gamer saying the Fiend. Some of them calling out already. And you can do that. You can absolutely go ahead and do that. Undertaker's number one. I'm going to leave. Okay. You might want to get your
number one. It'll be the end anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty much over. So you stayed for the whole thing. Ha ha. Yeah, I mean, if Undertaker's number one, I'm going to leave. Well, that's on you. Sean, happy Sunday all. Hello to you. Jim Gore, I would have thought for sure Wrestling Days would be here since he loves supernatural and wrestling. I don't. Jesse Callan says, yo, Mordecai has to be on the list. He may very well be. Sunny Wolf is here. And yeah, all right. So that is what we're here for. We're here to do our top 10 lists. So let's get started, shall we? Let's get into this. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a good list. I mean, look. This has been something in wrestling I was watching wrestling in the late 70s, all through the 80s, and this has been something that I remember seeing. This is one of the reasons why I'm a gimmick guy. I love gimmicks in wrestling. I always have, and I always will. Give me a good gimmick, and I'll follow a character. It's that simple. And I mean, I absolutely love this stuff. You give me a story. I mean, I'm a professed geek / nerd. I love the comic book stuff. I love horror, and I love this stuff. So, give this stuff to me all day long, and I'm gonna watch it. So, we had Supernatural Tazzy. We always kind of get the Tazzy sightings pop up on the thing every now and then. So yeah, it's kind of like the Candyman. Like Tazzy's name, he appears on the screen.
Great movie.
It is a great movie.
It's a great movie.
All right, so let's get started. So let's go with number 10, and let's have Tazzy start us off. Tazzy, what is your number 10?
Oh man, my number 10. It's gotta be Abaddon. Gotta be Abaddon. Now, you guys know I'm not a big AEW fan. I like it, I love it, but I saw this character just out of the blue, just like, hey, I wonder what this is. Wow, man. Just wild. I was speechless. She's crawling to the ring.
It's a good thing she doesn't crawl to the ring backwards, or Joe would not be a fan of Abaddon. She was crawling out of her tub backwards doing photo shoots, and I wasn't too pleased with that. So I had to look away. But she's really great. I absolutely think sky's the limit for her. We talked about AEW, as long as AEW allows it to be, but yeah, no, man, that's a great choice. That's a great choice. Did you like her from the time? I mean, when did you saw her? You started seeing her when she started in AEW, right? On AEW Dark?
Yeah, I haven't seen her from anywhere else. I was like, it was one of those. I think I saw one clip of her. I think she was wrestling like Sue Young and Rosemary. That's actually pretty funny. But I haven't seen her like outside of AEW though. That's the only thing.
Okay, we heard about her from Will Allday. I think Jodie and Jeff, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I think they're friends. I think they knew each other in was it Colorado that they were wrestling or somewhere? I think it was
Texas.
in Colorado. Okay, yeah, I knew. Or was it? Well, yeah, I know Will is from Texas, but I think he was saying they were wrestling in Colorado or something. I could be wrong.
That was Ryzen.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, and of course, Ryzen obviously loves her gimmick as well. Ryzen talked about her in a good light also. Jim Gore says Abaddon, one part Rosemary and one part Sue Young. Kinda. Yeah, kinda. She's also takes a lot from The Walking Dead. I'm gonna bet you she's a Walking Dead fan. Just by she calls herself a zombie. And just by the way she looks, with the zombie kind of look, she comes out and she kind of yaks blood up on the stage when she comes out. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a cool thing. It's a cool look. Obviously, she just wrestled on AEW this past week. She was in the ring and she got whacked in the head with a kendo stick. Looked like she was completely out. And when they were leaving the ring, all of a sudden, boom, and she pops right up. I think that's pretty much a sign that you're a supernatural character, isn't it? Like, I mean, that's a famous stalker thing. Like, when you're watching a movie like Halloween or Friday the 13th and you're like, the person's down, you're sitting in a movie theater when you're seeing these things and you're always like, just keep hitting him, damn it, he's not dead. Just keep hitting him. Would you just keep? And they never do. And then all of a sudden, boom, and he's back up again. He's like right behind you, or he's right in front of you. So that's a big horror move. Big horror move. And a tribute to all of those horror directors. So yeah, great call, man. Great call. Jodie, what is your number 10?
Oh dear. So my list, since I'm kind of new to wrestling, my list is kind of an amalgamation of mine and Chris's list, I guess. So like the first 5 I knew, the last 5 I didn't. So I'm gonna go with his number 10, and it was Mordecai.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Good call.
Oh man.
Good call. Jeff, I'll let you talk about Mordecai. Mordecai is an interesting story, actually.
Very, very interesting story. Didn't see a lot of them.
No.
But yeah, there were some interesting things out there about Mordecai and how his gimmick came to be and how he subsequently left that gimmick behind. So for those of you who know about him, you know about him. And if you don't, I won't spoil it for you. Just go look it up. Go look up his story.
Kevin Thorne. Kevin Thorne. A little bit of controversy with this guy, but I mean, obviously, when the thing is, when you see him doing things that he was doing, when you look at some of these guys and you see them bringing things out of the, like things coming out of the air and things just, appearing in different places and things like that. See, that kind of stuff to me is, I mean, it's supernatural stuff. It just is. And whenever you see these guys creating these type of things, then that is, that's got to be considered a supernatural character. And while Mordecai wasn't around very often, I mean, my God, look at the dude. Just gonna look at him, look at his costume, look what he looks like. I mean, what are you gonna say he is? Well, he's a monk. Yeah, I mean, look at him on the screen. I mean, look at what he's wearing. I mean, he looks like one of those people you'd see in like a satanic cult, like a priest of the devil or something like that. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, great call, man. Mordecai definitely was a supernatural character. Absolutely. All right, Jeff, number 10, man.
Number 10 for me is Papashanko.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Great call.
I mean, he's just that character for me, and all of his hijinks with the Ultimate Warrior were just amazing. I still don't know how. I don't know the whole, what was that leaking from Warrior, but hey, it's all maybe he was leaking a little bit of brain fluid there. But RIP to Ultimate Warrior. But yeah, Papashanko, and honestly, it was such a different character for him, for Charles Wright. And it honestly opened the door for Boogeyman later on. So
yeah, it did.
So yeah, definitely want to put him on the list. I had to put him on the list. Absolutely had to.
So back in 1987, there was, and by the way, I'm just going to announce that number 10, Jeff and I shared the same person. I had Papashanko at number 10 as well. But I'm just going to say the 80s were it was a big decade for voodoo films. There were a bunch of them, and it was one of the things that you saw this kind of like mystical, like supernatural stuff and a supernatural force. One of them was called Angel Heart, which got a lot of publicity for more reasons than one. Lisa Bonet starred in that film. Mickey Rourke was in that movie, and it was kind of like a detective film. So you kind of didn't think it was really like a spiritual thing until you got more into it toward the end, and then you knew what had gone on if you'd never seen it. It's worth watching. It's a good movie. But I'm sure a lot of that kind of stuff in the 80s inspired Papashanko. And look, voodoo, again, it's unexplained. Yes, it's been around for ages and ages. It's a big part of Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and it's been the topic of many, many, many horror things. And it's absolutely, when you are going to turn around and you are going to make the Ultimate Warrior throw up, yes, it's supernatural. You are just making some dude randomly throw up by casting some sort of spell on him. So yes, that's pretty much as supernatural as it can get. So yeah, that's a great call. And it was, what, the character spooked me. I mean, again, when I was watching these guys in the 80s, I was kind of, I was younger, so I was only in my early teens probably. So I can remember, when he came out, and of course, a lot of times when these guys come out, they kind of do like those, they all kind of have their way of doing that, those gyrations coming down to the ring and make their bodies kind of contort and things like that. And he was kind of a little bit like that. And when he came out to the ring, it was, it was some scary stuff. He's carrying a skeleton around with them and, dressed up very similar to how you would see some people dressed up in Mardi Gras. But yeah, I mean, he obviously was using voodoo. Voodoo to me screams supernatural. So yes, Papashanko is a great call. Great call. And it was a great character.
We have to give a shout out to Serpent in the Rainbow as well.
That's another good one. Yeah.
Another good voodoo based horror film back in the 80s.
Yep, absolutely. So, and again, look, wrestlers take things from their surroundings. It's just going to happen. When you see, and we've talked to so many of them in interviews that have said that to us, like they got their gimmicks from, things they kind of either grew up with or things that they see going on around them. I mean, we're seeing what's going on with Kenny Omega. I mean, is Kenny Omega taking a thing from Thanos? Maybe. So I mean, they're going to always kind of take things from their surroundings and things, stuff going on around them. So yeah, I mean, sure, you see these kind of things, you see movies, you kind of like it, you get an idea, and boom, you run with it. So yeah, Big Dan says Papashanko is based on an actual voodoo deity. Yeah, I see. That's what I mean. It's these guys are going to get these kind of ideas, and yeah. Wow, Bill didn't like the premise of Angel Heart, but was, oh boy, what was, man, Chris, is Chris back on a hate flow again tonight? Jeez, dude.
Damn.
Chris, man, you did what has gotten into you? You're like Mr. Hater. What's gotten into you, dude? Just sit back and enjoy, man. Take a breath. Take a breath. Fiend is my number one, says Nero. All right, yeah. We're gonna get there.
We'll get there.
So let's get to number 9, and let's go to Jodie to start this round for number 9. Jodie.
She's on mute. We might have to come back to her.
Jodie's on mute. All right, let's go. Let's start with.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
My number 9 was Papashanko, so we've already talked about that.
Okay. Well, there you go. We talked about him quite a bit. I supernaturally made Jodie disappear, by the way, just to let you know. That's what happened. I poof, and Jodie was gone. So see, we're even. She's saying, I hope someone includes Mae Young on their list. She gave birth to a hand. That's definitely supernatural, dude. Worst gimmick ever.
I'm good.
Not quite, but it's up there. It's really up there. The writer who wrote that thing should be instantaneously canned. Oh man, I heard a story about Mark Henry was talking about that, because they were talking to Mark, and they're like, "What do you do when you're just told that you have to do something?" And he's like, "You just got to go do it." And he goes, "You think for a second I enjoyed going out there and doing that storyline where she gave birth to a hand?" And he goes, "When I heard that, he goes, he said, I wanted to kill somebody." And he goes, "I didn't want to go out there and do that stupidity." But he said, "You got to do a job." And he said, "I had to go out there and I just did my job." So, yeah, I mean, that's that had to be the worst. That had to be the worst. So, all right, Tazzy, what was your number 9?
Number 9. Sorry, Joe. Number 9 is Rosemary. I ain't gonna say too much because I know Joe got a lot to talk about here. I'll talk about her. So
I might just have some things to say about that topic. Yes, I may. Yeah. I may have some time. I may have some talk to say. Yeah, I mean, great choice. Again see a lot of these Impact characters. I'm just starting to get introduced to now because, again, I've only been watching Impact since Slammiversary. I know a lot of you guys that watch with us on Tuesdays have kind of just gotten introduced to it as well. So a lot of them, and they certainly do a lot of things with storylines on that show. And they kind of dig deep into some things, and it might turn some people off because of some of the stuff that they do, which is fine. They're not as they're a definite complete opposite of something like NXT, which kind of gets away from the storylines a little bit, and they do more of the wrestling. But hey, to each their own, and that's why we all have different things that we can watch. So Vince Russo wrote the hand birth. He very well could have. That kind of seems like a Vince Russo thing to do. Chris is saying, imagine what. Oh, dude, that's just disgusting. I'm not even going to read that. That's just horrible. That's just horrible. Speaking of making the Ultimate Warrior throw up, good Lord. Anyway, okay. Jeff, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Abaddon, and for most of the reasons that Tazzy brought up, I mean, obviously she is more on the horror side of things, but if you can take the beatings that she does and pops up again and all of that good stuff, then you are supernatural in my book. And she does. I haven't seen a lot of her outside of AEW. I have seen some, and everything I've seen is just, yeah. I mean, she's definitely got to be on the list for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think she's doing a really great job, and she's, like I said, she's new. She's only been on AEW Dark for a little while. I really didn't know whether or not she's going to end up on the regular show, because I didn't know whether or not they're going to want to show the stuff that she does. She does kind of push the line a little bit as far as, again, like the puking of blood and things like that. Not that it's something that kids don't see every day. I mean, if you're watching Walking Dead, you're going to see this stuff all the time. But, I was kind of wondering whether or not they were going to do it. But yeah, I mean, AEW is a little bit more lenient with things, I think. She's done a great job, and it's really cool to see her in the title picture. So really cool to see her in getting into the title picture. That's pretty awesome. All right, my number 9. I'm gonna go, and actually this one was, you're gonna see a lot of repeats on our lists, and you guys shout out things that you think. I'm going with Mordecai as my number 9. And we already have heard about him as well. Of course, he was a dark priest. He said he had divine powers. He was a holy warrior. Talking about fire and brimstone. He wasn't there for very long. But there were, look, anytime you see guys that can make flames appear out of nowhere, I mean, unless you're like some kind of an advanced pyrotechnic scientist that can somehow make flames appear in places. Look, you're going to shoot flames from places. You're a supernatural guy, in my opinion. So he didn't last very long. The gimmick was cool. Unfortunately, it didn't take, and some of these things don't. Some of these guys get very, very popular with some of these. They just kind of hit on something and it takes off, as you'll hear about some of the others we're talking about on our lists. But then there are some that just don't, and it's just wrong place, wrong time. And some of these guys just kind of either fade away or they just come up with something else. So Mordecai is my number 9. I thought he was cool looking. I really kind of thought the gimmick would go further than it did, but it never did. All right, number 8. I'll start with Jeff this time. Number 8, man.
My number 8 is none other than Kevin Sullivan.
People are mentioning him in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
He had his army of darkness. You talk about all of the demonic things, and even, and I know I talked to you guys about this last night, but even you have to mention the Dungeon of Doom.
I was just gonna say that. I forgot all about that, Jeff. Was a didn't he have Big Show at one point wrestling Hogan?
Yeah, the giant. Yep.
Yeah, and didn't Hogan throw him in the sea and then he just walked out like it was nothing?
Absolutely.
He wasn't even wet. He walked out. Yeah.
He went off the top of a building. Yep. And they had a match later on. So,
Yep.
So yeah,
nothing
this is
all supernatural about a guy getting thrown into the sea and walking out completely dry. Yeah, okay.
I mean, he had Big Show at that point was known as the Giant. He was he was just starting out wrestling. So, he definitely belongs on this list, not only for what he did in WCW, but also what he did in Florida Championship Wrestling before that. And he had Woman with him before, who was the Fallen Angel, and like I said, his Army of Darkness. So definitely have to include Kevin Sullivan in my list. And he was just a creepy dude, man.
If we ever do like a top 10 on all-time feuds, I mean, Sullivan and Dusty Rhodes has to be up there. I mean, that has to be up there. Those two guys literally did not like one another. Like they went back and forth at it for so long they could not stand each other. And like Dusty was a nice dude. He liked almost everybody, but apparently he did not like Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Sullivan was just on Busted Open, I think 2 days ago, actually.
Okay.
Kevin Sullivan's a great call, and definitely a scary guy. I mean, when he could scare someone like Dusty Rhodes, you must be a scary dude. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he definitely lived his gimmick in terms of the demonic stuff and some of his beliefs. So
He actually claimed he was the devil, I think, at one point
Yes.
too, didn't he?
that
Yeah.
is very true.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, it doesn't get much more. It doesn't get much more than saying you're the devil. All right. There you go. All right. Tazzy, we'll go to you. Who's your number 8?
Now, I struggle with this one because it's either this spot or you're out. You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, I'll keep it real with you. Sting is not on this list for me, but I do got somebody, Gangrel, on this list.
Yes.
The Gangrel character, just the entrance itself,
Yeah.
with the spitting of the blood,
Yep.
and just spin in the bloodbath. Oh my god, dude! It's literally need to be on the list. I actually seen this character live in person before. It's spooky. Go on, dude. It's a spooky character. I love spooky, but
talk about taking advantage of a perfect thing at a perfect time. I mean, the entrance was amazing. The way those guys, and when he joined up with the Brood, and he had Edge and Christian with him, and he kind of came up out of the floor, and that fire, and then the blood coming out of everywhere, and then he came down with the chalice, and he used to drink the blood and spill it all over himself. Do you know the guy actually sharpened his own teeth to look like a vampire? Like, they were not fake teeth. He actually had his own teeth sharpened to look like a vampire. Yeah,
That's dedication, folks.
That is dedication to your craft. You're going to basically, destroy your own set of teeth to be. Yeah, I mean, I'm not putting, people would look at him and think, he's just putting wax on his teeth or whatever. No, this guy actually had his teeth sharpened to look that way. So it was absolutely amazing. And then, of course, when he joined up with the Ministry, again, right place, right time. There were so many cool vampire things happening in the 80s and 90s. So many good movies and things like that. Even had some TV series and stuff. So vampires have always been such a big part of horror and a big part of mythology and things like that. You could really never go wrong with that. And almost kind of surprising someone didn't try this before and kind of waited that long. But I mean, he was, he had the perfect look, the long hair, wore that, the frilly shirt that the old style vampires always wore, came down. But then he also kind of took a little bit from the Lost Boys too, didn't he? I mean, he had the mullet, so kind of grabbed a little bit from the Lost Boys too. So yeah, definitely took some hints from things again going on around him, and man, did it pay off for him. What a gimmick it was. What a gimmick it was. All right, number 8. I'm going to go with the Boogeyman. Number 8, the Boogeyman. The Boogeyman is, this dude, literally, man, when he first came out and he's doing his walk that he does to the ring, I saw that. I'm like, what in the name of Lord is this? I
can't deal with the worms.
Oh my god! Dude,
I can't do it.
If you listen to stories, and again, I just heard this guy too was talking on Busted Open. He was on for the Halloween episode, and he was talking to Mark Henry, and they're talking about Mark Henry's talking about the time when he told Mark Henry to go get him worms. He sent Mark Henry to go get him night crawlers from a fishing place or something like that. So he's sticking real worms in his mouth. And Mark Henry says, this was not fake. And he's he's putting real worms in his mouth. And he said the one time he chomped on a bunch of them, and he said he's yakking backstage. And I'm like, I imagine he would be. That's disgusting.
That was a shoot, brother.
But yeah, this guy with the crazy gyrations that he did, the worms thing, and the way they would use him, somebody would be backstage cutting a promo, and all of a sudden the camera would turn, and there he is. He's right behind them, and look, everybody has been the name the Boogeyman has been around again for ages, and everybody has been afraid of this thing since you know when you were a little kid. This is probably one of the first fears you get is the Boogeyman.
Who's afraid of the Boogeyman?
Right. I mean, and then you've got people calling, you know, when you got to there he is. There he is. You know, again, when you look at him, he had a little bit of that voodoo thing going on. You can see with the, you know, with his attire, and you know, looks like he has some stained blood there, and he's got the, you know, he's got the fur around his arms, and so he looks a little bit voodoo-ish. You know, wearing the jewelry and things like that, and the white eyes and stuff, and the face paint. So he's kind of got a little bit of that. But I mean, he went for a gimmick where, you know, what he thought when his parents and you know and grandparents had said to him about the Boogeyman, this is what he pictured. Everybody's got a different picture of what this guy's going to look like. I mean, when you had John Carpenter do Halloween, they called Michael the Boogeyman. So you know, for everybody, it's different. It's a different thing. And man, this guy, it was just unbelievable what this guy did for himself, and it's unbelievable that he's still around today. They bring him out during Halloween. They have him on specials and stuff. You know, he comes out and he talks about his past and things like that. So, and again, just a great gimmick. And again, just really hit on, you know, on whatever he was doing. And again, definitely, you know, had it pegged out to be a supernatural character without a doubt. So again, one of the greats. And I absolutely love. Remember when he ate the mole?
Yeah.
Talking about the mole. That was disgusting. That was absolutely disgusting. The Boogeyman, eater of moles. Yes.
He was chomping the heck out of that thing. I was like, please stop.
He was enjoying it too.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, he was. He was kicked off tough enough for lying about his age and later signed a development deal.
That's right.
That is
exactly.
Yeah, man. So Boogeyman could, you know, could make you, you know, if you just kind of were eating spaghetti or something, happened to be eating some spaghetti while watching wrestling. Probably not the best time to be doing that. Great gimmick, and I absolutely love the Boogeyman. Could have been higher on my list, but I've got a lot of other things that I have above him, but just an absolutely amazing gimmick for him. So, all right, let's go to number 7, and we'll start with Tazzy. Tazzy, number 7.
Now, I love this character, Papashanko. Now, I have a huge story on this. So, my first ever WWE house show was actually with Papashanko. That's how old I am. But I don't know how old. I was like, I was very, very young, and I remember him coming out, and you could smell the smoke. You know the smoke that came out of the skulls and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, you can smell the smoke. It smelled like it smelled like incense, but bad incense. Very bad incense. And believe it or not, guess who he faced on a house show?
The Boogeyman.
The Ultimate Warrior.
God, dude, that was a hell of a match to see.
Of course, they followed the whole storyline. So you got Ultimate Warrior. He picked up the cane. You got Ultimate Warrior's like, you know, he's like, he's there literally doing the storyline on front of the face in the house show. So shout outs to Papashanko, man. Shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely great gimmick. Oh, dude, if you got to see the Ultimate Warrior, that's great in itself. That had to be amazing. And he may appear on the list. He may appear on this list somewhere. So yeah, man, that's awesome that you got to see. I was going to matches and stuff in the 80s and things as well, but I was going in the earlier 80s. So unfortunately I didn't get to see a lot of the larger than life guys. I was seeing some people in before that happened, but yeah, that's amazing. What a match to see. Yeah, what a match to see.
Awesome match.
And see, that's the thing too. Like when we're talking about these guys, when you see these guys live, it's that much cooler because you're seeing all the entrances and the smoke and just all of this stuff coming down to the ring. I mean, can you imagine, people who were lucky enough to have gotten to see Taker in all his different iterations? Like, can you imagine the people that were at the first Survivor Series that Taker debuted? Like, oh my God. Like, see, imagine them see. I remember my reaction when I saw it on the screen. Imagine the people who were there. Like, oh my God, who is that?
What is this?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's awesome, though. Lucky Tazzy, you saw the Ultimate Warrior live. So Mustafa, yeah, absolutely. Tazzy's smoke could have been marijuana. Oh, God,
Stop it! I know it's Oakland. I know it's Oakland, but sheesh.
Oh man! All right. So number 7, Jodie. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Ryzen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Look, a relative newcomer to, I mean, not a newcomer to wrestling. He's been wrestling for a little bit, but kind of a, newcomer to kind of doing this type of gimmick. But yeah, Ryzen, look, he was in the Free the Delete. And I think a lot of people started to see him there. Of course, we interviewed him. Great guy. Absolutely great guy. And, talking about how, and now he's got he's doing the new thing, isn't he? When we were talking to him last, he has the new gimmick and he's been seen on AEW Dark a little bit. So he's another guy doing like the whole devil demonic priest kind of gimmick. He even said how he'd love to like kind of be Abaddon's like mentor or be her valet, which would be cool. Yeah, I dig Ryzen. I like the character from seeing him in the Free the Deletes. And I think he's I hopefully I wish him the best. I really do. It was really cool to see him on AEW after we spoke to him. And I wish him nothing but the best. I think he's got that kind of a mind where he kind of thinks outside the box, and I think that goes a long way in wrestling. So yeah, that's a great shout. That's a great shout. Jeff, what is your number 7?
My number 7, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this person because I know someone will. Rosemary.
Oh,
Rosemary is my number 7, and just because Joe asked me to do this and dig this up, there you go, Joe.
Look at that.
Decay back in the day.
That is Decay. I can remember C Wrestling talking about Decay, and I'm like, what is Decay? Like, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was missing. I've got to go back and watch so much of this because I missed so much of it. Look at that. That's Abyss. Abyss is on the screen. And I'm
Crazy Steve.
And I remember he would, saying things about like Impact and saying, "Oh, Decay was on," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's Crazy Steve, Sonny Wolf. That's the monkey guy on the left. That's the dude with the monkey."
Yes, Decay was awesome. I wish I could just put all of them as one of mine, which maybe I can. Because it is our show, so maybe
it is our show, dude. Yeah, I mean,
but
why not?
Whatever the hell you want to do.
But yeah, I mean, Decay was freaking awesome, and Sean Rousseau brings up Decay versus Matt and Jeff Hardy was amazing. Yes, it was freaking amazing. So, you know what? They may be making another appearance. Just saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
Hey. Like I said, it's our show. We can do whatever the hell we damn well please. So why not? But yeah, I'm excited to see. I hope I'd love to see them bring this back. And I mean, I know that Abyss is in WWE, but things change. So I would love to see them bring this back. I would absolutely love to see this. In the meantime, I mean, I'm gonna definitely go back and I'm gonna hit up some YouTube videos and watch because this looks like right up my alley. I love Abyss. So yeah, this looks like it would be something I definitely need to see. All right. So my number 7 is, and we spoke about this man already as well. I'm going to go with Kevin Sullivan as my number 7. Because again, and I won't spend a lot of time on him because we talked about him already pretty much at length, but Kevin Sullivan, and to me, this was a guy I didn't know all that much about growing up. I learned about him as I went on. And mostly too because I was a fan of Dusty Rhodes, and I read up and watched a lot of his older matches and things as I was getting older. But Kevin Sullivan was just look, when this guy comes out and he's got you scared enough where you're worried about the well-being of your wife. And things like that, dude, I'm sorry, but the guy, if that's the case, you either think this dude is crazy or there's something really not right with him. So, Kevin Sullivan definitely deserves to be on this list. And people will say, yeah, he's not supernatural. Dude, like I was giving examples before of the Dungeon of Doom and everything like that, the examples that Jeff gave. I mean, the things that happened around him when he was there, the things that he said he was doing. Yes, it's things that don't happen in real life. So again, to me, that's a definition of supernatural. So all right. So I'm going to go with Kevin Sullivan as my number 7. All right, let's go to number 6 and we'll go right back to Jeff. Jeff, what's your number 6, man?
Man, my number 6 has you've already mentioned him, but the Boogeyman.
Okay.
I remember seeing this guy, and I know that my Tazzy is beautiful. Keep it going, folks. Keep it going.
Sure, why not?
I remember my trainers. One of my trainers actually worked with Charles Wright, who is Boogeyman. And he told the story of how he lost his front teeth. And it was absolutely a crazy story. And I mean, just the guy at this point, and I know this is off topic of what he did, but we've already talked about it. But the guy's in his late 50s, if not early 60s.
Seriously?
And yeah, and he still looks like he could wrestle tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, he was jacked when he was coming. When we thought we were going to see him, we all thought we were going to see him on for Halloween on WWE. Dude, that man, he was pulling cars. Yeah. He was outside pulling a car.
Yep,
crazy, man.
I meant Marty Wright. Charles Wright is Papashanko. But I'm looking here to see how old he is. Yeah, he is 56 years old.
Man, that's nuts. Yeah.
Incredible.
Crazy, man. Good for him. Good for him. And look, he's been, it's not like he's an athlete. It's not like he's a full-time athlete on the roster anymore. He's not out there, but I mean, he's he's keeping himself in amazing shape. And man, that's awesome. 56 years old.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up a photo of him right now. Just so I can show people how much of a freaking insane. I mean, this dude is insanely in shape for his age.
Huh.
But you guys keep going. I'll pull it up.
Big Dan saying he's talked about an encounter with the Fiend. Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Yes, he has.
I'm sure he would. I mean, that could be a one-off type of thing somewhere down the line. It would be really cool. I mean, amazing entrances and stuff like that. All right, so we're at number 6. I'll give my number 6, and I am going to say, and I bet you people are going to argue with me about this one, but you know what? I'm going to give my reasons behind it. The Ultimate Warrior.
He was on my husband's list. Don't worry about it.
All right,
he agrees with you.
And you may disagree, and yes, he was not any kind of supernatural character in the WWE. But lest we forget, he went to WCW. Mm-hmm. When he did, he all of a sudden acquired the powers to appear and disappear at will. Mm-hmm. And he was in a feud with Hulk Hogan. So if you could just snap your fingers and appear and disappear, it's supernatural. So and then he was appearing in mirrors, and Hogan was seeing him in mirrors, and he was getting in Hogan's head and all this kind of stuff before they had their match. So the Ultimate Warrior, and look, and I'm sorry, but if you come out to a ring, right, and your whole shtick is to come out and you're shaking the ropes, and then he used to tell Mean Gene that he used to get his powers from the ropes. What are he's talking about? He's there shaking the ropes, and he's almost like Thor with his hammer, except for him, it's the ropes. So, I mean, what do you think he's talking about when he's doing that? Okay. Like I said, many people will say, no, he's not. He's not super. He was just crazy. You just come down to the ring and act crazy, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, look at him in WCW and tell me how he would just up and disappear and reappear. But he's not supernatural. So,
and dude, his promos were that of a supernatural happening anyway, because who knew what the Ultimate Warrior was saying back in the day? I mean, let's be honest. Who knew?
Oh my God, the rants that he would go on, dude. I don't know how Mean Gene kept a straight face. I do not know how Mean Gene kept a straight face. Like, he'll start talking about things happening in Valhalla and then go right down to but I had a pizza the other day, and then he was just Tazzy's popping out from behind the picture. Speaking of supernatural, the Boogeyman's making Tazzy pop out from behind the picture.
Tazzy supernatural.
Oh, Tazzy's popping out from. That's a great picture right there. Look at that. Oh no, Tazzy's got the oh no face on. The Boogeyman's coming for him. That's the Boogeyman,
and I'm coming to get you.
That's the Boogeyman today, by the way. That's insane. He looks more in shape now than he does in the picture that's on the screen. That's crazy, man. C said Warrior's final speech is incredible with a retrospective look. He literally passed away. He did. Yeah, that was horribly sad because he looked like he was reconciling with the WWE and looked like he was on his way to coming back, and then it was almost like it was almost like fate, where he came out, gave that tremendous speech, and then and he passed away the next day. Absolutely crazy, man. All right, so that is my number 6. I'm totally lost as to where we are. Who still has to do number 6?
Jodie,
what is your number 6?
Oh, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I went with Demon Finn Balor.
Oh, okay. Why not? I mean, he is supposed to be a demon, correct? What is more supernatural than a demon? Yes. We haven't seen this character since he's left WWE. And in fact, it's probably been a while even before he left WWE, because obviously he left WWE after losing to Bray. And of course they never wrestled each other with those characters, which I know everybody wants to see that down the line as well.
Yes, please.
But absolutely. I mean, again, I love the body paint that he uses there.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's almost like something. It's almost like a Venom kind of a body paint, like with the mouth. Like I literally had to stop and look at him from an angle to see how he painted that, and like the face with the eyes, and then he has that mouth underneath. But that's not the whole mouth. The mouth extends down his body. Yeah. It's really, really cool. Really, really amazing. They made a figure, I think an ultimate figure out of Demon Balor, and it's probably one of the best figures that they ever made. This is really, really, really cool. So Big Dan said in the promo during his program, it said the demon was inspired by the gods of Ireland. Yeah, well, there you go. Gods always have the opposite. They always have demons. So definitely, one of the coolest entrances you will ever see. You will ever see. Venom or Carnage, says Butterspark. Yeah, a little bit of Venom, a little bit of Carnage too. I agree. In fact, I thought, if he wouldn't have said that, I would have thought that that's where he got a lot of it from. Because definitely his face does have a Carnage look. You could see it in there in that picture. You could see the red and the black. If you guys haven't read the comic books of Venom comics or know who Carnage is, you will when the Venom movie comes out. When Venom 2 comes out, you'll know that character.
Can't wait.
But Carnage is kind of like Marvel's Joker. Psychopath, like he's a psychopath that gets a symbiote like Eddie Brock did, but his symbiote is just insane. So imagine someone insane with those powers. Carnage is an amazing villain. So yeah, I'll absolutely love Demon Balor, and definitely a supernatural character without a doubt. Without a doubt. All right, let's go on to number 5, shall we? So, Jodie, start us off with number 5.
Boogeyman was my number 5.
Okay. All right. We have talked about the Boogeyman.
Boogeyman.
We have. So everybody, of course, knows about the Boogeyman. We've talked about him, and we're probably going to start getting a lot of repeats, I would imagine, pretty soon. So,
and
Jeff,
I'm really cool with Boogeyman, but. And I, being a nurse, I don't have a weak stomach until it comes to putting strange things, inedible things. If you're eating inedible things or putting inedible things in your mouth, that's when I get nauseous. I have a very weak stomach when it comes to like people eating cockroaches and scorpions and putting worms in your mouth. That's the only time I get weak stomached.
Yeah, you probably weren't the only one he gave a weak stomach to. I mean, at least when you listen to some of the wrestlers talk about him, I think he gave them weak stomachs as well. Mark Henry was mentioning how he would eat the worms in the back when they were all sitting eating dinner. So yeah. Oh man, absolutely.
Heard that story.
Yeah. All right, number 5, Tazzy.
Well, you guys know me. You guys gonna know these next 5. So, starting with number 5, of course, I got to put her in here. You know I have to. Su Yung, Susie.
Oh, I knew where you were going.
And here's a fun fact. I actually saw a match. It was between Blackheart, which is another one of my favorites. Blackheart, Su Yung, and I forgot the other person. And they had a great triple threat match. It was like a women's what do you call that? Federation or something like that. It was like it's very independent, but it was like a great match.
Was it Shimmer?
I think so. I think it was. I can't remember the name. I have to go back. And I'll let you know. But yeah, man, that match was awesome. But just the character itself, man, when you can switch back, it reminds me of Finn Balor.
Yeah.
Kind of remind me of Finn Balor. Basically, you got Susie, who's technically very creepy but gorgeous at the same time. But
no,
but then you have this character. Is basically, I'll be like this. If I was, I'll be like, hey, he beat me up. I'm like, okay, hold on. let me go get Sue. I'm like, uh-oh. But yeah, shout out to Susie and Su Yung.
The only entrance that ever shut me up. And you can't say that very often. When I first saw it, I mean, we were all asking for it. If you haven't watched our show with Impact back before Sue appeared, everybody was kind of saying, when is Sue coming? When is Sue coming? We were kind of talking about that almost every single week. And then when we finally got that entrance, I was like, whoa. Like I'm sitting there and I'm just, we've all had it. We're all wrestling fans, and you always have that moment where you're watching a show and you're just like, wow, like that is incredible. And again, like Jeff has seen this, a lot of the other guys that, come into our chat. I know Conrad, a lot of these guys that have been watching Impact right along, they've seen this before. Mm-hmm. So for me, seeing that, I was like, wow, that's really amazing, like, and breathtaking. And I just thank the Lord above that she didn't double over and walk to the ring backwards, because I probably would have vomited.
But that picture on the screen, though. I remember that picture on the screen. That is an amazing scene.
She hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, let's hope she doesn't. I will keep my hopes alive that never happens. I mean, I mean, she's been dragged back to whatever hell she's from by the bridesmaids recently, so I think she's going to be gone for a while. So I might be okay, maybe until next Halloween sometime, which I think Joe might take a break from wrestling during Halloween because, that whole NXT thing just kind of, that just kind of made me not want to watch wrestling during Halloween anymore. Anywho, all right. So, all right, we got Taz, we got Jodie. Jeff, number 5. Did we get yours yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
My number 5, man.
My number 5, and I'm going to cheat here because, well, I can. It's a 3-way tie here.
Oh, nice.
Su Yung.
Yep.
Decay.
Yep.
Oh.
And Holodead.
Oh, okay. A nice shout out to Holodead, our friend Holodead. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know where to put everyone, and I mean, this is just 10. I mean, if we were doing a top 20 list, then definitely you can, have more spaces there. But I mean, for me, Su Yung, Tazzy already talked about her. Mm-hmm. She's amazing. Decay. I mean, what can you say? They should have never split. They should have never split Crazy Steve and Rosemary. So yeah, that's that. And I mean, Holodead, if you don't know who she is yet in 2021, you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be in that game. I know that we were talking about. She's going to be in a video game. If you don't know who she is, go back and listen to our interview. She's amazing. And she gets right into character. And she's not somebody you want to mess with. She's awesome. And definitely. I mean, that is definitely a character that she plays, and it's absolutely, a supernatural character. And as we always did in interviews, we talked to her about horror and things like that too. So, All right. So 3-way tie for Jeff. All right. Number 5. I'm going to go here with, and Tazzy mentioned him already, but I just have him up higher on my list. So I'm going with Gangrel and the Brood. Look, this to me, I was in vampire heaven back when he came out because, you had Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. You had The Lost Boys. For me, another great, great vampire movie that I absolutely loved was the movie Fright Night from the 80s. Now, I know they just remade it, and to me, it sucked because the first one's so much better. But it was like a modern take on a vampire story, which was really cool. But I've always been keen on the vampire stuff. And then you got Blade, of course, with Wesley Snipes. And, oh, so good. Just kind of went on and on from there. Of course, Triple H was in Blade 3, as was Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool himself was in that movie too. I mean, the vampire thing was absolutely huge. And when I saw this character, and like Tazzy said, the guitars playing in the entrance music and things like that when they'd come out. And then, of course, when he got Edge and Christian with him, and both of them looked like Edge was creepy as shit too. Like Edge with the glasses and stuff. I mean, Edge can look creepy to begin with. Like Edge just has that kind of like I don't know what it is about him, like that face, like the chin that he's got. Like when he had the long hair and he had those glasses on, and I mean, you could just see, like you could totally see him being in like The Lost Boys or one of those vampire films and being at someone's window and freaking people out. That was just like Tazzy said, tremendous gimmick. And it just went on for quite a while. They got involved with so many other things, and the Brood and Edge and Christian and Gangrel just absolutely amazing. And now you hear so many people talking about him. We've heard him talked about by other wrestlers and stuff because, of course, he has a school and he teaches people now how to get into business and things. So that's awesome too. So yes, Gangrel would be my number 5. All right, let's go to Tazzy. What's your number 4?
Number 4, like I said, you guys know me. You guys know the top 5. So I have to go with Finn Balor, a.k.a. the Demon King, a.k.a. Prince Devitt. Now, if you guys haven't seen this character in Japan, Oh my God! Please go back and watch this character. It's just, it's one of those characters you see a gold mine if you like. If WWE would have saw this, like, I'm pretty sure they did. That's why they brought him out here. But if you guys would have seen this character in Japan, they're like, oh, definitely WWE got to get him. He fits the WWE perfect.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I got to pay it. And just his skills in general in the ring is awesome too. Like the dude is a freak of nature when it comes to the ring. He can do whatever. So Finn Balor is my number 4. By the way, I actually I didn't see the demon character, but I did able to see the Finn Balor version of him a couple years ago at a Raw taping. It's actually pretty good. Wanted to see the demon, but hey, get what you can get it.
All right, Jeff. We're at number 4, right? Yes, I'm losing track. Jeff, what's your number 4?
Man, my number 4. I'll preface it by saying this: if you can channel George Washington through a giraffe,
What?
you're supernatural. That is one Matt Hardy. And I'm also going to and I'm also going to bring up Jeff Hardy, aka Willow. What they did in TNA and Impact, and their match against Decay. My God, it's just great stuff. And if you really want to see where the broken Matt Hardy character was, not the Woken stuff that doesn't count.
The toned down crap, yeah,
not that. I'm talking about broken Matt Hardy at his height in Impact was amazing, and this just honestly it opened the door for a lot of superstars today to do what they're doing. And these two guys, I mean, the segments where he would go and talk to George, Stretch, the giraffe. I mean, it's just brilliant stuff. And I mean, just if you haven't seen Broken Matt and all you've seen is Woken Matt, just go to Impact's YouTube channel. Yep. You'll thank me later. That's it.
You know what? It really makes me upset now that he didn't go back to Impact. It really, really does. Like, Jeff was talking about that when we were talking about where Matt was going to end up. And now, you know what? It really makes me upset he didn't go back to Impact. Because good God, like the promos that they could have had with him going back to Impact. Oh my God, would have been amazing. What a great call. I mean, I had not been watching back then, but friends of mine were telling me, they're like, you've got to see this. And I can remember watching the YouTube videos of him doing the thing with the piano and playing piano and all this. And I'm like, what in the hell is this? Like, what is he doing? And then I'm watching all this stuff, and then I end up watching the whole thing, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So good. This man, I'm sorry, he's a throwback because he's got like that creative mind that can just completely go out there. Matt Hardy would have fit right in with 80s wrestling. He really would have. He's got that kind of a mind that can just, get completely out, in left field somewhere and just come in with a storyline. And if they just let him go and let him do it, he can come up with some really amazing stuff. C says AEW had so many plans for Matt Hardy. The pandemic ruined most of them, and now it's probably too late. The mystique and mystery is gone with what he's done in AEW. I mean, it kind of seems that way. Great call, man. Great call. All right. Number 4. When a man comes out dressed as the Crow He is supernatural, in my opinion. The Crow is one of the coolest movies you will ever see. And the man on the left in that picture, when he came out, one of the coolest things to this day in wrestling I have ever seen. And he didn't speak a word. He did not speak a word. And he didn't have to. He didn't have to. He's up in the rafters with a freaking vulture on his arm. Like, oh, like, okay. And I mean, he put the fear of God in the NWO. I mean, Hogan and Hall and Nash, they see this dude up in the rafters, and then of course he comes down on the winch and comes into the middle of the ring. I'm sorry, like this, and again, like I said, the Crow, he took that whole thing and ran with it. He, had himself even looking with the matted hair, like the character that Brandon Lee so greatly portrayed in that film. And man, I was all in. And again, I knew Sting from before. But when he came back and all of the things that he did and everything like that, you come back as that vigilante Crow character. Oh, so good. See Wrestling saying he can now make it snow. Yeah. He went from the Crow to he went from the Crow to the Cold Miser. He now can snap his fingers and make it and make it snow. He's the snowman now. He's the snowman.
The Snow Crow?
He's the snowman. It's Snow Crow, yeah. Sting got himself more over by saying nothing than guys did with promos. He did. He absolutely did. Hayden says it's Sting, the icon. Yeah, he absolutely is. He absolutely is. Jesse said he made it snow in AEW. He's definitely supernatural. Yeah. I would say if you can make it snow on command, so much so that you walk to the ring and you have snow in your hair in the middle of Florida. I would say you're pretty much supernatural, yes. So Crow, Snow, you think someone backstage in AEW misheard in planning meetings? Oh, God. He's supposed to be the Crow. What did you say? He's supposed to come out to snow? Oh, damn. Nice. But yeah, Sting is my number 4. Again, that's one of those things again I will never ever forget in wrestling. So cool. And just going back and watching that again, and I did a couple times the last couple days before this. Just so good. So good. All right. Top 3, guys.
Jodie, did you give your number 4?
Did you give it? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jodie. Go ahead. Number 4.
Sting, obviously.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Very good. Well, yeah. See, I mean, just absolutely amazing. I mean, to put the fear of God in the biggest group that was out there then, and the group was in power, and for him to get them to be afraid of him, huge, just absolutely huge. All right, cool. All right, now we are at the top 3. So since I messed up Jodie's pick, I will let Jodie start the top 3. Who is your number 3, Jodie?
My number 3. It has to go to Kane.
The Big Red Machine. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Do you remember? You guys all remember when he debuted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Honestly, I literally owned one wrestling figure before Kane came in, and it was NWO Hogan. I never bought any wrestling figures before that. I never had any of those 80s ones because I always thought they looked weird. They they all had their arms up in the air, like over their heads, and they kind of look like versions of the toy Stretch Armstrong. And so I never really bought them. But yeah, like when I saw Kane, it infatuated me to the point of where I was like, and then they came out with this gimmick, right, to sell the toy. And they were like, unmasked Kane. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to buy this figure now. Who is he? Like, well, I'm going to take his, and it was the biggest ripoff ever. When you took his mask off, it was this disfigured looking face, and it showed you absolutely nothing. Nothing. So I'm like, oh my, this was such a ripoff. But I mean, hey, I got the Kane figure, so it was all good. But yes. Jesse, is he technically supernatural? I think when you can ignite flames, like I said earlier, in the corner of the ring and make flames appear out of nowhere, yes. When you can fight someone with lightning, yes, I think he got pretty much says you're supernatural.
Yep.
Yeah, when you can fight in a burned alive, or the fire matches and stuff like that, you can walk through the flame and not get hurt. Yes,
That makes you supernatural.
I would say he's supernatural. Yes,
Pretty much.
yes, I would say he's supernatural. Man, Kane is I mean, look, when he came in, of course, as the opponent of the Undertaker, and they had the whole brother versus brother thing, and the fight for Pallbearer's attention and all that kind of stuff. I mean, dude, what a change for him to start off as Isaac Yankem, the dentist, and to turn into Kane. I mean, what a 360 for him to reignite his career. And man, I'm sure he's probably thrilled that he did it. I'm sure he's thrilled that he did it. But yeah, what an imposing figure, and who could come in and again, kind of be the guy to be the opponent of the Undertaker. Yeah, man, unbelievable. Kane lit the Undertaker's casket on fire, then laughed at as he was being burned. That's not normal to me. The Undertaker selling of Kane's debut was one of the best things ever. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Jesse, they were going back and forth with Lightning, him and the Undertaker, and one of the things that they were doing. Yeah, Kane was also fake Diesel. He was. Yep, He was, says Jim Gore. Absolutely. Hayden says, I hate the dentist so much. But yes, absolutely well-deserved to be in the top three. Well-deserved to be in the top three. All right, let's go to Tazzy. What was your number 3?
My number 3, I saw this character. I actually was at a family bar. I know this sounds funny. I was at a family barbecue and I was like, hey, we got to watch this pay-per-view right quick. It's a must. I don't know what's going to happen. And wouldn't you know it, some big red dude come in there and break the cage open, the Hell in a Cell open, and there you go. It is Kane.
There you go. 2 number 3s from Jodie and Tazzy.
And
let's see. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
It's crazy because if you guys haven't seen this character in person, it's a great character, by the way. The flames are loud. Just to let you guys know. If you guys ever had a chance to actually say he comes back or anything, be prepared, wear earplugs. It's loud.
The pyro, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It sounds loud on TV.
Yeah.
It sounds loud on TV. Jeff, are you going to join the number 3 Kane Club?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to be a little bit different from the crew on this one. And my number 3, even though I just have one of his brilliant iterations of his character, it's got to be the Fiend.
Oh, and look at me! He got Tazzy's reaction to that. Look at
that. Yeah. And I mean, I'm just gonna say Bray Wyatt, but I mean, you throw in, Eater of Worlds, Bray, and all of that, just jumble it all up into this. But the Fiend obviously is what we have right now, and this character, my goodness. What this character is doing at the moment, all the backstory, how he's tying everything. I mean, it's brilliant. So I'm pretty sure, spoiler alert, that we will have some other folks mentioning the Fiend. So I am going to shut up right
now. Yeah, I would almost bet you are probably correct that Bray will get mentioned again at some point in time. Yes. All right. So a little bit of a surprise there. I think people were saying, "Oh my God, he's Bray's going to be everybody's number 1." Fooled you. Apparently not.
Gotcha.
Apparently not. We gotcha. Big Dance of Bray Wyatt, in my opinion, is on par with Paul Heyman as a creative genius when it comes to wrestling. Sonny saying, all hail Fiendy. Hayden said Bray Wyatt, my favorite WWE superstar because he is absolutely genius. So, yes, a lot of fans for Bray in the chat. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well deserved. My number 3. I feel like, what's it say? Well, think about it, right? Who wasn't mentioned yet, or who haven't I mentioned yet? So anyone who can play a character that is all 7 deadly sins at once in the same body at the same time, man, again, I got to thank Jeff because I would have never ever known about this character to begin with, and I'm a fan. I'm a big fan, as you all know. My number 3 is Rosemary. So yes, I've only known this character since Slammiversary. I've gone back and I've watched so many of her matches. Now I have to go back and watch DK matches. I'm going to be spending my nights watching Impact stuff for the next God knows how long. She's she's amazing. I mean, the things that I've seen, the past matches that I've seen, just have been absolutely off the hook. The way that I like it when these people will, and we all look. You talk about Undertaker, we watched that whole show with him. The one thing that people were saying is that he constantly played his gimmick. Well, she does as well. She has alter egos that constantly go. So if she goes in a Twitch stream, she's Courtney Rush. If she appears as other things, she's different forms of this demon. She could be pride. She could be envy. She could be, she was talking the other day. Someone was saying, well, where's gluttony? And she's like, you don't want to see gluttony. And she's like, you just don't want to see gluttony. So I mean, this is really cool. Like, you're playing your image. You're playing that character, probably 24/7. You're constantly, whether you're at an autograph signing, like, when Taker used to appear, things like that. She's kind of doing the same thing. That earns my respect because you're living that character. And I really, really dig that. And I think, she's already had titles and things like that, but I think she's got a bright future wherever she ends up. Whether she stays in Impact, whether AEW tries to strengthen their women's division a little bit more, even though they've got some great people there already. But if they want to move people around, if whatever's going to happen with this Kenny Omega thing, she's going to kind of cross promote. But I think she's doing amazing things, and I just absolutely love the character, and I can't wait to see how the character grows. So Rosemary is my number 3. All right, let's go to our number 2. We're rounding it down, guys. We're getting down to our top picks. So number 2, let's start with Tazzy. Who is your number 2?
My number 2 this basically started all the way from now, well, before to now. It's Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend. But the character, you can see such great talent before when he was in NXT. He had the character, the cult leader Bray, that type of character, and you can see the genius out of all the promos and even the ring work was great. So, and now this character right here, this character is like never see a character like this besides a certain guy with a little hat, but I had never seen a character like this before. It's like incredible, and it's just to see this character in person. This is definitely the number 2. But I have a feeling. I have a feeling this is somebody else's number 2, so I'm gonna let this.
Well, you know what, Tazzy? Let me just follow you right up because he's my number 2 as well. So, look, all I'm going to say that we could say different than I already have is when you can make me change my Jason shelf on my shelf that I have of artifacts in my house. From hockey masks to what is now a complete Bray Wyatt Fiend shelf. That says something. So, look, where he got the inspiration from this just blows my mind. Like the whole story that we got listening to Kyle, listening to Jason Baker, the whole thing with, going back to one of my idols, Tom Savini, all of those guys' involvement in all this is just unbelievable. Like this guy when he left, when his character left, when cult leader Bray left, I left too. I was done. I left WWE. I'm like, no more. I'm done. They got rid of one of my favorite characters in there. Really, the guy I was watching the show for. I'm done. I'm not watching it anymore. I stopped watching it for about 6 months. And then I still followed him, though. I followed him on Instagram, so I would see his Instagram posts. And I saw the Instagram post of the dollhouse before it even happened and came to fruition. I'm like, uh-oh. He's coming back. And I'm like, what is this dollhouse thing? Like, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to start watching again. And that was when I started watching again. That's when I met a lot of you guys, really, because that was when I kind of came back to it. And that was when the Funhouse started. And man, we're off. But where he got so many inspirations from this, the creepy mask with the inspiration from the faceless Joker from the comic books. And I had just got done reading that. So I was fresh in my mind where that was. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right. I'm seeing it, I'm seeing it. If you haven't read those books, is basically an iteration of where the Joker got his face cut completely off by another villain who just kind of sliced off his face and kind of discarded his face. But of course he remained alive because the guy was a surgeon. So he was able to do that. It kind of just sewed it back on. And that was the version of the Joker that he got. So, I mean, just the things that's going on with this, they just keep topping themselves, and we're right in the middle of a feud that everybody wanted to see. And I'll let the expert go because I'll bow out of this one. But I mean that's all I have to say about Bray. Just amazing. I know a lot of people are saying he should come back and be a writer when he's done with his career. That's kind of that's a no-brainer for Vince. You want a guy who can create some cool stories. Now we're hearing the Undertaker is going to be working in NXT. You watch if the NXT stories and writing doesn't get a little better. Doesn't get a little better because minds like this can really do some good for the creative team. So yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Bray wants to stick around and wants to be around wrestling. Man, why not have the guy write? Or why not have the guy right? So Hayden says, I remember when Bray singing, he's got the whole world in his hands in 2014 during the feud with John Cena. Oh, who could forget that? Yeah, who can forget? Dollmaker was the name of the villain. Good call, Brother Nero. Hey, look at that. A fellow comic book reader. Love it. Big Dan says, Bubba Ray Dudley described the Funhouse as the Magic Garden, but on acid. And the Rock told Bray, you are batshit crazy, and I love it. Yeah. I mean, look, they all respect him. Like how, we had heard them saying that they wanted to be involved in the story. Like wrestlers backstage saying they wanted to be involved in the story. I mean, that's a lot of respect. That's a lot of respect for a guy who was off TV. I mean, he wasn't around. And then he comes back with this, and everybody's like, I want in. Like, I want in. I mean, that's respect. So amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right. Let's go to Jeff's number 2, and then we'll top this round off with Jodie, because I wonder who Jodie's may be. But let's go to Jeff.
Well, I've got to be the different one here.
Okay.
But Kane for me is number 2.
Okay.
I remember his debut and seeing him rip the door off the Hell in a Cell.
Yep.
And that wasn't gimmicked either, by the way. He really ripped that off. Like
yeah.
I mean, it was not, weakened or anything like that. They actually talk about that in the doc that's on a WWE Network with he and Undertaker. But just to see him, this mask, just to see this big, powerful dude that could go up against the Undertaker, because we had been programmed for so long that the Undertaker was just unstoppable. But now his brother is here, and for those of us who are old, myself included. Damn it. This was a nod to Undertaker, because for those of you who don't know, the Undertaker was formerly known as Kane the Undertaker.
Yep.
When he came into WWF. So, but I just thought this was amazing, brilliant storytelling. Everything leading up to his debut was great, and the ongoing feud slash reuniting with Taker to be the Brothers of Destruction. Yeah. For me, Kane has to be in my top 3 for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, somebody had wrote an article about Kane and of course, and Undertaker and of course, Pallbearer. And they're like, man, could you imagine if they would have brought their mother into it? Like Pallbearer was the dad. These two were the brothers. Can you imagine what his mother was like? I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, really?
No, it should have been Luna.
Crazy would that have been? The family of destruction. That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. But yes, absolutely, man. Kane, well deserved. Well deserved. All right. Let's go to Jodie's number 2.
So this was really, really tough. I'm not gonna lie, between my number 1 and number 2. But Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, gets my number 2 spot. And, this whole story is so complex. And like you said, Joe, everybody wants to be a part of it. And I think that's, it's a tribute to Bray and what a beautiful mind he has. And, geez, just to pick that brain for 5 minutes. I mean, that's on everybody's wish list, right? I mean, this whole story, going all the way back to Superstar Ghost Stories, and then, coming out as cult leader Bray, and now we're kind of seeing this amalgam of all these characters, and, it's just incredible. And obviously, we're all very big fans of Bray Wyatt. He is also, coincidentally, one of the nicest people I've ever met. He has a fantastic memory. Better than anybody I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, he remembered me 9 months later. He knew exactly who I was. So, he has a fantastic memory. He's got a genius mind, and all of his friends that we've interviewed on this show, that, they all attest to that as well, that he's got a brilliant mind. And we've only seen the tip of the iceberg, and I'm very, very excited about where this is going to go. And I think he's going to go down in the history books as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
When somebody's special is when you hear people just do nothing but, and we got this from so many of those negative dirt sheets. He's buried. He's done. Seth Rollins, the thing with the Hell in a Cell, that was awful. It's over. The Fiend character is finished. And you read that and read that and read that on all of the dirt sheets. I'm sure Cornette said it. I'm sure Alvarez said it. All the negative Nancy dirt sheets that some people love to listen to and love to feed into. They all said it. Right. And then again, you have the whole thing with Gold Nerd and that whole debacle. And everybody's like, oh, the Fiend is done. The Fiend is buried. The Fiend is dead. And guess what, guys? He's the number 1 guy on Raw. So, no.
And is still the number 1 merch seller.
Yes. I mean, yeah, that's my new name. I enjoy that one. Yeah, look, I'm sorry, but he's not done. He's not buried. He's not. Yeah, and that's all you heard. So look, the ending last Monday, I'm sorry, but that was a horror fan film's dream. When you see something like that happen, where one guy disappears, the other guy appears, he's down on the ground, that is a horror film through and through.
Oh, yeah.
And it was amazing. I absolutely thought it was brilliant. I loved it. Brother Nero, yes, I did say Gold Nerd. Yes. Yeah. So
I don't know if Kyle said it in our interview or if he just said it to me in one of our conversations, but he said one thing that Bray's really, really good at is finding his way around crappy writing in not so many words, you know. So it doesn't matter if you put him up against Oldberg or, you know, you book him in a weird way that as fans doesn't make sense to the story. Bray will figure out a way around it, and he will figure out a way for it to make sense for his vision. And, you know, the fact that, to my knowledge, he still has, this is still his baby, and he still has a, you know, 99.9% of the input on where this story's going and how it's going to be told is also a tribute to him as well.
All I got to say, guys, is this. Like him or hate him, take Bray off of Raw. What do you have right now?
Nothing.
You've got a big ball of 3 hours of nothing.
Yep.
You have a big thing, 3 hours of retrocraption going on. So,
well, and look at the difference when he was on SmackDown. SmackDown was a show to watch.
Yep.
Now he's on Raw. Raw's the show to watch.
Yeah, man. Like you take him off Raw, and Raw is horrible. It's just flat out horrible. So yeah. 2
hours.
Great call. And you know, I'm guessing
Yes,
everybody
indeed.
can probably decide what everybody's number one is going to be. So I'll start it off with this. Oh, my Undertaker! Yes, my number one. And how could he not be? How could he not be? Because when you talk about this kind of thing, yes, you know, we talked about guys like Kevin Sullivan. We talked about guys like Papashanko. We talked about people that were, you know, kind of could have paved the way. And maybe they were inspirations to the Undertaker. They may have been. We don't know, you know, he's been kind of silent until recently, you know, and really never really got into a lot of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, you know, but man, again, you know, I go back to, like I did go back to with Sting. When you see a moment in wrestling, and wrestling is filled, it's so cool to watch and so much fun to watch because it's filled with moments. And when you see a moment, and I had seen this live, when I saw him walk out and I heard Roddy Piper with the ham hock comment, I was like, what is that? And when he came to the ring, and I'm like, and I can remember, you know, talking to some of my friends who watch wrestling and things like that. We always watch wrestling together in a group most of the time, you know, groups of friends watch. And I can remember seeing him come down, and I'm like, who is this guy? And man, he just wrecked everybody. He's throwing guys around that are legends. He's throwing Bret Hart around like he's a rag doll. And like, who is this guy? And I mean, unbelievable. You guys can go back, and I mean, I'm not going to go into a ton of details here because you guys can go back and listen to the shows that Jeff and Brandy did. They did 3 weeks of shows on her show about him, and all of the things that he has done, and all of the matches that he had, and all of the different iterations of the character. I mean, my God, he hung Vince McMahon's daughter on a cross. For God's sake. Like, you wish. I mean, you know, so I mean, this guy is just, I mean, the fact, you know, 2020 saw him retire. And it'll be forever known for that. You know, we probably have seen the last of him. He's going to go work with NXT like we had heard. But I mean, wow, what a 30 years. What a 30 years. And the guys we're talking about, the newer folks, you know, the people who are kind of just doing this within like the last 10 years or so, I can almost guarantee you. And we saw Bray put out a tweet and said, "Thank you, Taker." Right? There it is. There's Stephanie going up on the cross. I mean, who would have thought you'd see something like that coming on regular TV? You know, seeing a woman hung on the cross. But yeah, I mean, you know, everybody's saying thank you, Taker. Why do you think that is? They're doing it because they got so much inspiration from this guy. He paved the way for all of these characters to do their thing. So all these other people we're talking about, the people who are doing this stuff today, they're doing it because he did it. And if he hadn't been the one to come and do this and all these things to earn giving him his powers, how can you look at the urn and not think like Jeff said? We were talking about this a couple days ago, right, Jeff? I mean,
Yep.
how can you look at Jeff said this to me? How can you look at the urn and having a power and making him stronger as not being supernatural? I mean, come on. How many people in this world in real life have you seen an urn give them powers? Oh yeah, let me look at my Uncle Charlie's ashes over there and let me get some powers from that. Yeah, let me do that. But yeah, I mean,
and someone who can control lightning.
Yeah, right. I mean, the dude controlled lightning. The dude control. Yeah, come on, man. I mean, he absolutely is the king of the supernatural characters without a doubt. All right, Tazzy, go ahead. Number one, man.
Well, yeah, as like always, I'm going right behind you. My favorite character of all time is the Undertaker, and just to get a person that actually got you into wrestling, a first time that actually watched wrestling, and get you into the rest of watching wrestling the rest of your life. I kudos to the Undertaker. Fun fact: I don't know any Undertaker. Not a lot of Undertaker fans know this, but we all know. Nobody knows that his first title, he beat Hulk Hogan. And I'll just be like this. I was not a Hulk Hogan fan. So just to see the Undertaker take the title away and walk out of the arena the way he looked, I wish there was a picture, Jeff, where you had that. It's the picture with him growing his eyes with the hair and Pallbearer's leaving the ring with him. Oh, now
you're talking about
Survivor.
Survive his win against Hogan. Give me one second.
That face was like, oh, everybody probably was scared, and I was looking like, oh, I like this. Yes, I like this. And just 30 years of just being a character, even being the American Badass, just out of the blue, and just like, hey, I could do this too, and then kill himself and come back as the Undertaker. It's one probably the best characters of all time.
Yep. And don't forget, I know I kind of did a little bit of a mini tribute, but let's not forget to kind of throw in Pallbearer as an A to this one. Yes. Because there's another guy. The man was frozen in cement and he lived. The man lived through being buried in cement. I mean, not everybody just lives when you're buried in cement. Ask a lot of the people that the mafia have killed over the years. Why do you think they call that cement shoes? They were buried in cement, and yeah, they died. So, Pallbearer was. There's another guy. So let's not forget him, because Pallbearer was absolutely the yin to the Undertaker's yang, without a doubt. I mean, the gimmick wouldn't have come across that way. Matt says he wasn't supernatural. He says he was just intelligence and people backstage. Dude, honestly, believe what you want to believe. That's your choice, dude.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yes, sir. And I would just say to you, watch the matches, go back and watch his matches, and you make your own decision, because that's what I would tell every wrestling fan to do. You make your own decision. And if that is honestly the way you feel, cool, dude. Nothing wrong with having. There it is. There it is. Look at the permed hair.
Yes.
Look at the permed hair.
Yes.
That's great.
Oh my god.
Look at that. Look at the permed hair.
Awesome.
The rolled back eyes. You ever hear him talk about doing that rolled back eye thing? He said it's not as easy as people make it think. He said, when you unroll them, you're dizzy as hell. I've tried it. If you guys have never tried that, do it once or twice. You'll get dizzy as hell doing that. But
look at Hogan. This is awesome to see right now. My bad. I'm sorry, Hogan fans. Oh my god, this is awesome.
Oh man, so good. All right, Jodie, who's your number one?
Well, obviously, it's gonna be the Undertaker.
Yes.
And being new to wrestling in the past couple of years or so, like I've said this before, even growing up, never watching wrestling, I knew who the Undertaker was. And I knew what he was about, and I knew what, his general character was, because my brother watched wrestling when we were little. So, even not being a wrestling watcher when I was younger, I still knew who the Undertaker was. And talk about, paving the way and setting the bar. Like, he is the gold standard of supernatural wrestlers, supernatural characters. And everything that he's done has been so monumental in inspiring others, and he's just fantastic.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. V9 Gaming HD. Hey guys, I've not been on in a while. Question for all you. Is the Fiend a supernatural character or psychological? I think after last Monday, it's pretty safe to say he's definitely, if you didn't think so before,
I think he's both.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's definitely mind games without a doubt. And we've talked about him being compared to the character in Split, but look, I think there's definitely supernatural things going on there. I have no doubt to answer your question. I mean, that's my opinion. And like I said, like Jeff said too in the chat, everybody has their own opinions on what they see. And I'm sure the wrestlers love that too, because it's just not seen in one point of view. It's seen from your own perspective, and you can kind of imagine this. Like, people love to do things, fantasy book matches, fantasy. You can kind of make these guys out to look. There's people out there who think Darth Vader is a good guy. I mean, everybody can think what they want of anything they want to think, and that's what's cool about all this kind of stuff. So, yeah. All right. Jeff, man, go ahead, buddy. Number one.
I mean, you guys have already said everything that I needed to say about The Undertaker. But, I mean, in terms of a character and, and wrestling, much like, other forms of entertainment is about suspending our disbelief. And that's what's so cool about wrestling is that, I mean, honestly, we had the Repo Man, I mean, he just went around taking people's stuff. We had Doink the Clown. We had, I mean, you name it. Paul Burchill, who was a pirate. I mean, it's about suspending our disbelief. And, that's what the Undertaker did for us. I mean, honestly, and I'm going to put this back up on the screen, but the Inferno match.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
And it was about suspending our disbelief. All of the times that the Undertaker got buried alive.
Yep.
Randy Orton put him in a casket and set him on fire.
Yep.
And then he returned. Those are all the makings of a really strong character, a really strong supernatural character, that really paved the way for other folks like Bray and the Boogeyman and all these. Just so many different people now. I mean, you even look at someone like Sue Young and Rosemary. A lot of these folks wouldn't have the types of gimmicks that they do had it not been for The Undertaker. They wouldn't have been as well received, in my opinion, because a lot of people would just be like, oh, they're trying to knock off a horror movie. Taker made this all believable in some ways, even though we know that it's obviously a work, but he made it feel real. And that's what I love about The Undertaker. And when we watch wrestling, at least I mean for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, when I watch wrestling, I want to escape everything that I'm dealing with, or that I see going on out in the world. This allows us to do that. The characters like the Fiend, Rosemary, Sue Young. It's honestly like watching a horror movie in ways, but live on screen. And, obviously we know that kayfabe is dead. But it's still fun to believe in this stuff. And that's what draws me to wrestling. So I'm going to get off of my meta soapbox here because that's what I'm doing right now. And I need to shut up. But it's, these types of characters are one of the many things that make wrestling fun to watch, is that it gives us an escape from reality. And if there's any way that anyone doesn't think that about the Undertaker or whatever, that's fine. You're entitled to your opinions, but when you watch wrestling, not everything needs to be literal. And and that's where I think a lot of fans today get caught up with watching wrestling, is that they want to see everything be literal. They want to say, oh, well, this person botched this and they botched that. They're a human being. What if someone followed you around every day and said, oh, you botched that food that you cooked tonight, you burnt the heck out of it, botch, that kind of thing. I mean, these are people, but they're entertaining us. They're doing this to entertain us. So I just hope that people can kind of get back to understanding that and realize that wrestling is entertainment. It's not the end all be all. It's not, life or death. It's for our entertainment and amusement. So I'm going to shut up now.
Guys, I mean, we're pretty much done with our list, and great points that Jeff just made. I'm going to leave you with this. We all watch this because, like Jeff said, it's absolute escapism. I mean, you can say whatever you want, whenever you want. It's all your opinion and how you look at it. You could hate it, you could love it. I mean, here's the thing. Do you come out of a horror movie saying that or thinking that Michael Myers was reality? Do you come away from Friday the 13th thinking that there's a guy who can constantly get hacked, slashed, shot, exploded, blown up, and still be alive? No, it's not reality, right? There is wrestling that's reality. I mean, that would be amateur wrestling. That would be Olympic wrestling. That would be things like that. And some people love it. Some people love it. And some people that love that kind of hate pro wrestling, and that's okay. That's okay. It's a completely different thing. And all it says to me is people are entertained by different stuff. And that's okay too. That's okay too. Everybody can have what they have. That's what makes the world a wonderful place. Everybody's got different things that they enjoy. They've got different things that they like. And look, to me, this is all about that in a nutshell. This whole show, this top 10 this is all about stuff that we as a foursome here all enjoyed. And yeah, maybe you guys aren't going to enjoy the same stuff, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is going to have different opinions. But as Jeff said, this is to wrestling to Jeff, to me, I'm sure to Tazzy and to Jodie is escapism. And it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And to get involved in a story and get kind of taken away from things that are going on, my God, especially this year, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's perfectly fine to get involved and to do that. It's kind of like reading a book. Some people just, I used to read tons and tons of books. I mean, sci-fi books, comic books, graphic novels, all that kind of stuff. I read a lot. I don't get to do it as much anymore because I'm either too tired at night and just don't, I just can't do it. I read audio, I do audiobooks and stuff now. I mean, we all know Brandy's a big fan of audiobooks. By the way, Brandy's going to be really mad at all of us because we didn't mention Mick Foley. We're gonna get the business because we didn't mention Mick Foley. Mick could be a whole nother thing because like Mick's 2 iterations other than Mankind definitely were not supernatural characters. Mankind, you could kind of look at him and say he's kind of like Freddy Krueger in a little bit of ways because he was always like hiding in the boiler room and stuff like that. But and Mick's great. Absolutely great. Love Mick Foley. So, not that we dissed him in any way. So, Brandy, we're sorry. But yeah, I mean, so many others. Like I said, you guys, I'm sure, must have had, you guys have your own top 10. You guys think that, I know some of you, I saw you were saying, some people were saying Willow in the chat. Some people were saying, different names that people were throwing out there. And it just goes to show you, like, everyone is going to have different things. Hi, Larissa, by the way. Everybody's going to have different things that they think, that they feel, that and it's all good. It's all good. All we're saying is it's all good. We're not going to tell you who to like. We're not going to tell you that, you shouldn't like something either. So it's all good. I mean, we're all here to enjoy wrestling, and that's what we love about it. The cool thing is now there's so many different things people can watch. And Jeff and I talk about this on the podcast all the time. If you really want more close to just wrestling, go watch NXT. Because that doesn't necessarily, it has some storyline, but it doesn't necessarily give you the I mean, yeah, you have Karrion Kross. So, I mean, Karrion Kross's storyline's kind of a little bit on the verge there, right? But, that kind of gives you more closer to the actual product. If you like just wrestling, go watch Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor just did. I watched some of their thing called their Pure Tournament. All that is just wrestling. Like, that's all it is. It's just wrestling. There's no gimmicks. There's no any of that stuff. They just have guys wrestle. So there's stuff out there for you if that's what you enjoy. And that's perfectly fine. If you want over the top things and, kind of things where they kind of don't maybe look at the rules so much, go watch AEW because that's kind of their thing. That's what they do. And WWE, they've got the storylines. Impact, they've got the storylines. They have that ingrained in what they do. ECW was way over the top. So there's so much of it out there now that everybody has a thing that they can go and watch, and that's all I'm saying. And I'm going to get off my soapbox now and end and first say thank you to everyone on the show. Like I said, thank you first of all to Jodie for coming on tonight. Thank you to Tazzy for joining us tonight. And thank you to Jeff as well for all of the graphics and stuff that he worked on today. As always, amazing job to Jeff getting those things up there. Of course, you saw our faces in there and stuff like that. So amazing job to him. And of course, like I said, thank you all to you guys as well. I'm glad you could join us tonight. I hope you enjoyed the top 10 list. If you like it, please go and hit the like on the video. Really, really helps us out. Also kind of helps us to know that you guys enjoyed this kind of thing. And it could be something that we can end up doing somewhere down the road again. Which, I'm sure we would probably want to do that. We enjoyed doing these lists before, and I'm sure we'll keep on doing them. Speaking of lists, don't forget to watch the Twitter site, like I said, because I'm going to start going into more awards and announcing more awards on Twitter. And having you guys vote on those is important. So make sure that you do that. Jeff has one last thing he wants to add. Yeah, go right ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. And I know Jodie had something she wanted to add too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
But the last thing I wanted to add is, and I want to bring this up because he said it in chat and he sent this to me, and Big Dan was talking about how
Thanks for the donation, Dan, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, Dan T. Yeah, thank you, Dan T, for the donation. He mentioned that the Fiend was an escape for him from losing his wife earlier this year. And obviously our thoughts and prayers are with you, Big Dan. And I'm glad that you were able to find an escape and find a way to kind of cope with things this year. And I'll be completely transparent. When I first got back into wrestling, it was literally the thing, and having some friendships that I've built from all of this that saved me as well from a very difficult time in my life. And that's why this is so fun for me, and I'm sure all of you, is that there are times where we go through things in life that are difficult, and we have to find a way to cope and find a way to escape. And for me, it just happens to be professional wrestling. And, struggling with depression and anxiety and all the things that I've dealt with throughout my life, wrestling has always been my escape. And seeing characters like we brought up tonight were one of the reasons that I was able to kind of keep my head above water in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, this is important to a lot of us. The ability to be able to escape. And that's all I'm going to say is that, just form your own opinions. Have your own things that you feel and believe. And, that's it. I mean, it's all about what you enjoy. And we just happen to enjoy this. So I'm going to shut up now. And Jodie, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I just want, kind of moonlighting, piggybacking on what, both of you have said, that, the last letter of WWE stands for entertainment. And, out of all of the companies out there this year, they found a way to keep the fans involved and to keep going and keep bringing us that escape. And, I salute them and I applaud them for that. And, Big Dan, I can totally relate to you. I know you and I have talked a lot in DMs and such about, things that you're going through. And Bray knows all of this too, because I told him when I met him. But when he came back to television, my mom had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And that was a really tough point for me too, because I was busy working. My mom is obviously in another state, 600 miles away from me, and I couldn't be there, when she was going through all her treatment, and I felt horrible. I felt like a failure as a daughter. Didn't matter how many times she told me, yeah, I understand. It's okay. So that's why Bray is so important to me, because he helped me through. He suspended all of that and gave me that escape, when my mom was going through something really difficult and we were going through something really difficult as a family. So, coincidentally, being totally transparent, my mom has now been diagnosed with skin cancer for the second time and now has to have surgery for that. But we are going down to see them in day after Christmas. So at least I'll get to be there for some of that. But, it's all about entertainment and, giving us that escape from what has been a very difficult year for everybody, especially me, working in healthcare. And, I'm around COVID patients every single day, and it's tough. So I applaud WWE for keeping the fans involved and keeping everything going in spite of everything that's going on around us. So that's all I'm gonna say.
All right. Well, hey, look, again, like I said, I mean, to cap this off, obviously, thanks to Jeff and Jodie for sharing, all of you as well in the chat. You're all our family. It's absolutely amazing that we have this and we have this place to kind of talk to you guys, and that you guys can come and join us as well for this crazy world that is professional wrestling. We really, really appreciate you doing that. And before we go, I'm just going to tell you what's coming up, as we always do. So don't forget, you'll have Jodie and Jeff back tomorrow, 6:00 p.m. Eastern time. They're going to talk all about Bray Wyatt. So you are a Bray fan. You're going to get more than your share of Bray tomorrow night at 6 p.m. They're going to talk all about that crazy ending and what happened on Raw last weekend. Of course, they're also going to talk about a little field trip that the Puppets and Bray are taking as well. Where are they going to go? Are they going to go out for milk and cookies? Are they going to go? What's going to happen? You'll find out tomorrow on Raw. But before that,
they're going to go eat some frog legs.
There you go. Make sure that you join Jodie and Jeff tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. Hayden said, Bray helped me get through depression that I suffered last year. It's a very difficult time for me. I'm glad that I'm feeling all right because of Bray. See, so look, it's all good. It's all good. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Hope you are doing well, buddy. And then, of course, Tuesday, come back and join us for Impact. Now, we don't know what we're going to see on Tuesday. We're not really sure. They did allude to having like an awards couple weeks, so it could be that, and we might just get some promos in the back and things like that. But it could be that Final Resolution may have been the last taped actual wrestling events for them, and they may just be doing some promos and things, and also doing the awards stuff. So that's maybe what we see, because the 2 weeks of this will go up to Christmas. So that might be it. We'll have to see. But we'll let you know. We'll keep watch on Impact, and we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But come and join us on Tuesday for Impact. That'll be at 7 p.m. Come and join us. We'll talk. We'll chat. We'll talk about Raw. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about before we start the show on Tuesday. Make sure you're joining us for that. And got to send a big shout out, guys, for you. And I know Jeff will say this as well, and Tazzy. We were the second most watched Impact stream for the last 2 times it's been on.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. We were only behind Conman both times, and Conman's awesome. So no absolute animosity towards him. Conman's been doing this a long time, and he has a great show. If you haven't gotten the chance, go check Conman's show out. He's really, really good at what he does, entertaining as well. So to be in that kind of company is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And you guys are part of that. You guys are absolutely part of that. Without you being here, we wouldn't have that. So thank you all. Really, really appreciate that. And then, of course, Wednesday, make sure you join Tazzy for NXT. I'm sure there'll be more on Karrion Kross.
Gonna be crazy.
More on the Damian Priest thing, more on all that. So I'm sure you'll get to see what's going on there. And then on Thursday, come back and join us on our podcast, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will run it all down for you. We will talk about everything we saw, talk about what we saw on Sunday or Saturday rather, in Final Resolution, and talk about what is to come. And of course, we will have a preview show already, because we've got another pay-per-view coming up this coming weekend. We will have our TLC prediction show. No clue when we're going to do it, but we will get it out there somehow, some way. Gamer Guy says Conman's 167 is amazing. Yeah, Conman's great. We had a great interview with him. It was really, really awesome. We'll figure all that out. We'll get it to you. We'll let you know when we're going to have that, but I'm sure all of us will be here to do it. Shout out to Brandy. Hope she's doing well. She did send us a text before the show saying she will listen. So I hope she is doing well. Our thoughts and prayers are with her during this time, where she, of course, is fighting again. So thoughts and prayers out to Brandy. We'll get to you about the prediction show. And then, of course, this coming Sunday, we will be streaming TLC. And I'm sure the 4 of us will be here doing the exact same thing we did today, and we will be streaming TLC. So there you go. Thanks, guys, so much for being with us tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, let us know. Throw us a like on the video. Let us know in the comments what your top 10 would be, or some of your favorites are. Let us know. Let us know in the comments if you like these kind of shows, because we can certainly keep doing them, pick different topics, so on and so forth. Larissa says, I want to shout out to you, Larissa. Thanks for joining us. Nathan Salas says hello to you, Nathan. Thanks for joining us as well. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. As I always say, stay safe, take care, have a great rest of your night, and hope to talk to you tomorrow on Abby's Window. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome, awesome night.